ultimately, I think we should remember the Hamitic hypothesis, because when we think about master races and Aryan domination, we think about the kind of very short, very violent history of Nazi Germany. But in fact, there was a much longer and a much more profound racial theory that continues to exist today, and that is the Hamitic hypothesis. Thanks very much.
Powerful.
Wow.
It also makes me think about the Indian caste system and how they look at, you know, the different castes as the other two, and like how that has to do with the darkness of your skin versus the lightness of your skin. Same in Brazil. Like these things hit on so many other levels than just Nazi Germany.
Yeah. And like you said, it's very dangerous, because that's what leads, like that's what can happen when you really start to see yourself as a different type of species or something, because your genes are different or some shit or whatever, your skin color different. It does lead to supremacy hierarchies and the ability to extinguish something else because it's not of you. You know what I mean?
Small rant, but that's why I get upset when I see, like, when people refer to Democrats as demon rats, or like, you know, like Democrat rats, you know, like this idea of like vermin. Like anytime you put someone down as like some subspecies, then you're saying, or like dogs or monkeys or whatever, like that is literally saying you're not the same thing as me. And when, like, I'm not a spider, so I can just smush a spider and it does not affect me.
Dehumanization, which is a huge part of how the Nazis were able to get a lot of just regular everyday German people to not only just kind of go along with it, but buy into this theory. Actively participate in the subjugation of these people in the same way that the Rwandans, the tribes in Rwanda did in the 90s. I mean, and again, like he said, it's not these extremely violent things that you don't, that are like somehow distant in the past or whatever. Like it's happening today, you know. Like my mind goes
and
to
Republicans. I mean, that's
my mind goes to, it's divisiveness, but my mind goes to what was happening in Armenia and you know, the whole idea of like this resurgence of the Armenian genocide. And they were like, okay, we come back to finish the job and shit, because like we still don't fuck with these Armenian people because they're not actually people. And it's like, this stuff is still happening, you know, and these tentacles that reach out from the past, they touch every aspect of the future, because it's like a foundation. You can't, like, each brick, like the brick at the top of a building might not physically touch the brick at the foundation of a building, but they are connected through all of the other bricks along the way.
And even when it comes to like every aspect of science, from archaeology to linguistics, like they're trying to categorize and, you know, like, and differentiate,
hierarchy, like separate people,
and that can be dangerous. That's a great point that we're touching on there. Is that even though we all speak different languages and we have different environmental factors in our evolution as people, we are all people. Like that is something that's why, like I said, that what got me here was the idea that people call Democrats demon rats. And
it's not good.
Dehumanize. That shit really touches on me, because I immediately take it to race or gender or inherent factors, not just political ideology.
You can see, because it's what you're seeing, or at least you can tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like what you're seeing is the exact same mode of thinking with different labels. You know, like instead of using race as the criteria, you're using ideological lines.
Because like a lot of people do that. They'll use religious lines, or even like they said too, there was a lot of tension in Africa pre this, you know, race tension, but it was more ethnic and tribal. Like we're of different clan than you, and so you're different from us, and therefore the enemy to us.
It comes right back to
Native Americans,
whether you belong or you are the other. You know, all the way from conquistadors arriving in South America or in the islands in Mexico and Central America and being like, they are barbarians.
You know, that's another thing too, when people look at culture and society as being like more valuable than like tribal living and stuff, right? So like a lot of times where you get colonization, right, is you run in and you say these tribes in Africa or in the Amazon and all these places are more, like you even said it earlier, they're ignorant, or they're not as smart as we are because they know less, like, or they have like less information.
I mean, look at their houses, they're made out of straw,
right? You know? Exactly. And so it's like they're somehow a subspecies or less than, but it's not that, you know. It's like,
we've been around for the same time. Why haven't they come up with brick houses?
Right, but like, they have their own intelligence. You know, they have their own like connections and things that they use their brains in a way. You know,
Yeah, like if we were
like
to
you
go,
could never build a fucking bow and arrow out of the things that you have at your disposal.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
That's
just dropping these Europeans in the middle of Africa without like having African guides and stuff like that, they'd all die.
They'd all
Because your brick houses don't do anything in that environment. Because
Yeah.
like there's a reason why they make their houses out of goddamn straw.
Yeah, if you were born in Iraq, let's say 100 years ago,
Yeah.
you were not gonna build your house out of wood.
Right.
You were gonna use the clay and the mud and the water and the traditional techniques and build your square, very low to the ground with open roofing. Like it's just not just the culture, but it's what works.
Yeah.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, why aren't Africans using concrete 100 years ago?
Right.
Because they didn't have the fucking stuff to do that.
Yeah,
Why
right.
aren't Iraqis building wooden structures? Well, because they use their wood for other things.
For
Like,
other
they-
things, yeah.
Their wood wasn't for their structural buildings.
Also, they didn't have giant fucking forests all over their goddamn
Exactly.
country, you
Yeah,
know, where you
that's-
could just cut down acres and acres of timber.
But
and
I'm
you had
sure
more
they would have
wood
figured
than-
it out. You know,
Yeah,
just like you did.
Like in the same way that you don't have a lot of clay, so you didn't make adobe houses or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like you use the resources and you have your own intelligence or your own mode of
Exactly.
knowledge.
Yeah.
The intelligence is how to use the land you're in.
Right.